Hey everybody, Chris Petracchi here, and today I'm going to do a colored pencil caricature drawing for you. But first I want to tell you about my new ebook, Essence. It's out now. It's 114 pages of pure goodness. It's got portraiture, charcoal drawings, step-by-step tutorial, and it's got a section on creativity. It's got concept art. It's up in my website at chrispetracchi.com. And it took me 10 years to make. It's an awesome book, so go on up there and get that. And I also have my free resource head drawing cheat sheet. It's more than a cheat sheet. It's 20 pages of instruction that goes deeper into the structure of the face, the rhythms of the face, lighting, how to see, and much more. So that's on my website until the 31st for free. So make sure you get up there and get that. Okay, now into this drawing. I took a photo of my cousin, and you can see the photo reference here. And this drawing is going to be a little different. I'm changing it up from what I normally do. And I'm going to push this drawing a lot. I'm going to push the proportions, the silhouette, and just go crazy with it. So what's happening is I'm looking at the shapes, the values, the edges. And since I know the structures of the head, the planes, the rhythms, I can push them all around at will, however I want, and it's really creating on the fly. It's like making up a guitar solo in the spur of the moment. So I'm just drawing freely, and it's the best kind of drawing. So with colored pencils, I found they're a little difficult to work with when you start mixing them and when you want to make changes. It's a little harder than just graphite alone. And I also used markers on this one, and I used the markers after I laid down the color pencil, and that the marker kind of had the effect of um, smushing around the paper or the pencil underneath, and so I couldn't get a flat gradation, so that was difficult. And it also made the marker a little bit hard because it absorbed some of the wax of the colored pencil, and so it kind of ruins the markers. But I would do it differently. I would lay down the markers first and then do colored pencil over it in the future. So this drawing took me about 4.5 hours to do. And, during that time, I also want to talk about how to persist making art when things aren't going your way, how to continue in the face of adversity. So, just last month, a lot of stuff happened. I broke my foot, and then my mom got really sick, and my wife got sick. And so suddenly there was no time to do anything. And I found myself getting frustrated because I wanted to continue my art and do what I love to do. And so when you're faced with that kind of situation, here's what I can suggest. Simplify your life. So what I did was I just simplified everything. I cleared out my schedule of anything that wasn't necessary because I had time commitments now and time constraints to care for other people and myself. We had doctor's appointments and so on. So I wrote down on a list exactly what I wanted to accomplish and the things that I could put to the side for now. So that's one thing, is just put aside everything that's not important and then decide what your priorities are, and then just be really focused and tenacious. So you have to be tenacious about it and fight for that time because there's other things now vying for the time. So I went to my studio and I brought my table, I brought some recording equipment, my Cintiq pencils, all that, and set it up in the living room or in the dining room so I could do this drawing. So this drawing is done at home. And so we didn't have a place to eat, so we had to get the coffee table and pull that over so we could eat because the drawing stuff was taking up all the room in the dining room. And so it was like a little makeshift studio. And I set everything up. I used my iPhone to record this video, and it worked pretty well. And so the other thing that you can do is ask people to help you. So there was things that I couldn't do. I couldn't drive, so I needed my wife to drive. Um, I needed other friends to help me get things or do things for me. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Another thing I did was adjust my expectations of myself. I was limited physically. I wasn't going to be able to accomplish even half of what I normally could. I had time constraints, and so I just needed to give myself a break, and that wasn't easy to do. So I just would slow down and meditate and the first thing in the day and just say, okay, this is my new constraints that I have to deal with and acknowledge. So what can I accomplish today? And then I had an intention about the day and how I was going to accomplish what I set out to accomplish. So my list of accomplishments, which I made, which was much less. There were much less things on it. So I pared it down and then I accepted that. And that's huge. Just acknowledging that I wasn't going to be able to do what I normally could and accepting it and then going ahead and doing that. So that was a big adjustment. Another thing I did was adjust my schedule. Again, because my time was severely limited, I wasn't going to be able to, again, do the things as fast as I could. It was much slower. So I adjusted my schedule. In my calendar on my computer, I'd open it up and say, okay, what am I going to accomplish today? And itemize those things out. Then I would say, what am I going to accomplish this week? And I'd prioritize the things I was going to do. So that was extremely helpful, and it helped me stay within the limits of my reality. It helped me not get frustrated, and it helped me keep moving forward. And that's really what I needed. It was great. So about this drawing, basically I started right away with just one of the eyes. Usually I do kind of an envelope and I block things in from big to medium to small. This time I started right with one of the eyes and I just moved out from there. And I started fairly light because when you use light lines, it's easier to erase them. It's easier to fix errors. And then I darkened them up as I went. And now I'm using this marker and just kind of going for it. It helps cover lots of big distances, big shapes when you want just like a big wide field of color. A big fat marker is really good. And then I would put colored pencil over it. And I'm using Barrel Prismacolors for this. And I had Copic markers and a Caliber highlighter for the pink color. For the rendering process, I used the colored pencils with very thin lines and I used contour lines going over the surface of the face and so that you can see movement and you can see depth. And then I used cross-hatching to build up the value. It was really effective to do that, and I use that in combination with just laying down flat gradations, kind of smooth gradations, like in the background, as smooth as I could get it. If I needed it smooth, like in a cheek area or the nose, then I went really slowly and tried to fill up all the valleys in the paper so that there wasn't a lot of white of the paper coming through. And then I would smudge it with the Tortillon or the paper smudge stick, and also use white colored pencil over the top of the gradation that I laid down to kind of smooth out the colors and blend them underneath. In the background, I left the texture more rough so you have a nice contrast between the smooth skin and the rough background. I'll leave all the tools that I used in the description box so you can find those and get those there. And that's it. There's the finished piece. I hope that you liked it as much as I enjoyed doing it. Remember to like and subscribe and to hit that bell so that you don't miss a thing, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.